Well, how about that? There's our opening intro. I'm Alan Levine. We're here again for our second iteration of OEWeek Live, and I am most excited for this special presentation to bring in the studio for just an informal conversation. Andreia Inamorato, who is our executive director of OEGlobal, and I really thought this was a great opportunity for people to get to meet because she's been so busy with everything she's had to do to take on this organization. So, welcome, Andreia. How are things today for you?
Thank you so much. Today has been a fantastic day so far. So thank you so far. So thank you so much, Alan, for organizing this live session with me. Thank you so much for organizing this live session with all our invited speakers and guests throughout the week. It's good to have the possibility just to chat informally and to exchange a little bit on what we do in open education. I'd like to give a great welcome to everyone who is watching us live or who will watch us afterwards once it's recorded and released. So you asked me how things are going. Fantastically well. Today, for example, we've just had a session hosted by EDEN, the European Distance Education Network, in which we had 185 participants when I had a look at the chat. So people are really interacting with us. They're sharing ideas, and some very good ideas on open education across the world have been shared during the day in that session. And as for Open Education Global, it's been a pleasure to be working with you, with the team, getting to know the members, getting new members on board. And I hope that we'll be able to chat about it today a little bit, about the activities that we have in place, everything that we are planning to do. So let's do that, Alan.
Most excellent. So, I always like to ask people when we start these, like, tell us where you are right now. I mean, we both have our bookcases up in our background, but tell us where in the world Andreia works from.
Yeah, well, I am now living in the south of Spain. The name of the city is Seville. It's very close to Portugal, actually. From my house to Portugal, it takes about 1 hour drive, and then we cross the border. It's a very nice, traditional Spanish city. But just in case anyone is wondering, I am actually Spanish Brazilian, so I have a strong connection with Latin America as well. And I have lived in the UK for over a decade, so I have also a strong connection, and many friends in Britain and across the world, of course. But today I'm speaking from Seville. How about you, Alan?
Oh, well, I'm here in central Canada in Saskatchewan, where I always have to, it's like I have to talk about the weather, but it's minus 20. So, and we have snow outside, but it's quite beautiful. It's clear sky. So I hope later to, my favorite thing when I need a break from work is to take the dog for a walk and take pictures of interesting things. So it's so wonderful in this work that we get to be in our homes and also be with our colleagues. So,
Yes.
so let's talk about. Well, should we talk about Open Education Week, or just talk about like some of how's it been for you to make this adjustment into running this organization?
Yeah, wow, it's always challenging. No, it's I think it's challenging for everyone. For myself, I'm new at this, but also for you all the team, because you have somebody new on board. But it's been extremely pleasant in a way that OE Global has already so many things set up and going, and now we are really planning towards further expansion, in order to put together activities that will enable us to act upon our strategic plan that is online. It's out there in Spanish and English for anyone who'd like to read it. OE Global has a strategic plan, and we already act upon many of those things written there, but we have plans to put more things, to make more things available to members, and to engage more with policymakers, and to take OE Global even further. So I think that one of the things that we are looking at now is to strengthen our membership, to have more members, particularly from underrepresented underrepresented regions of the world in our database of members. No, because OEGlobal has the origin in the US. I don't know if everybody knows about it. So most of our members come from North America. We have also many members from Europe and some members from Latin America and Africa and Asia. But we would really like to really go even more global, as our name says, no? Open Education Global. And if you allow me, Alan, I want to take this opportunity to say to everyone that one of the things that we have that I considered very important this week, and that is also aligned with our strategic plan to grow, is that we have a special membership offer to everyone who wants to join Open Education Global during Open Education Week. So from today up until Friday, at least. We have a new membership category called individual member, and anyone who wants to join now this week can join for free as an introductory membership. You can even talk about it a little more yourself, because you have been heavily involved in helping us set up this type of membership. So I think it's nice because we are always talking with open educators, people that are representing an institution, but also people who embrace openness by themselves in their day-to-day practices. And in case their institutions are not members or are not yet ready to become members, it does not mean that they cannot be members, no, individuals. So please go ahead and sign up so you get to know more about OEGlobal activities and collaborate with us in order for us to better perform our mission, which is to open up education as much as we can all over the world. Then the other side of it is that we also have an offer this week for institutions, higher education institutions, schools, all sorts of institutions at all education levels. If it's an institution based in North America and in Europe, we are providing this week 20% discounts for institutions that are joining from North America or Europe. And we are also providing 50% discount for Asia, Africa, and Latin American institutions, exactly because they are underrepresented regions in our membership database. We'd like to hear more from people in those parts of the world. Do you have anything to comment on that, Alan? Because I know you're very much interested in growing OEGlobal.
Oh, well, absolutely. I also have to make sure I shift myself into the spotlight here as I fumble around with the controls of this. But yes, we kind of did an experimental round with the individual membership format last year, and it was very popular, both for people who transitioned from a member institution to another one. But I've also seen at least two cases where someone signed up from a member organization, and I wrote to them and said, you already have all the benefits. And they more or less said, like, I really want it to be mine. And what if I leave this organization and I just want to support the work that you do? So we really commend that kind of interest. And so pretty much individual membership is that show of support, as much as getting some benefits for being part of the community. And working with Karen Kanjosi, we're trying to elevate that program, and we're also working with a couple of entities of more or less from I'll say corporate, but companies who are interested in more or less sponsoring and getting behind open education. And in some cases wanting to learn from the organization. The thing that is always that we're trying to achieve is like, what does it mean? We have a lot of interest in open education because of the practice and because of the mission, the UNESCO recommendations. But how do we do it globally? I mean, and that's the interesting concept. And so, there are easy questions about, not easy questions, translation of content and making material accessible and being able to find it, but also like, how do we coordinate and operate and sort of coalesce people who are interested in important issues that go beyond the boundaries? And that's why there's been this really interesting, movement towards understanding climate change and sort of addressing what that means and getting behind the UNESCO SDGs. And so that's good for many reasons because people know that's important, and then they see how open education concepts can get behind that. So yeah, we're very excited to do this expansion of membership, because mostly we just want to connect people together, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you said so many important things, and certain things really resonate to me on my thinking. You talk about people become members because they can also learn from Open Education Global. No, exactly, because we have a mission as a nonprofit organization. We have a mission, and our mission is about openness in education, is to support all sorts of openness, from open educational resources, all sorts of open educational practices. Let's put it this way. Now, from licensed resources, open science, to collaborative and open pedagogies, to micro credentials, and everything that means really inclusion and the lowering down of barriers to education. So we are talking about all education sectors, the formal education sector, non-formal and informal. No, we are talking, our public is open educators, people all over the world who just want to upskill and reskill, workers, all sorts of cohorts of people, whether they are institutionalized, belonging to an institution, or whether they just are just interested in learning something new. So when you say that members can, apart from being engaged in providing education, MOOCs, OER, etc., if they can also learn in our community of practice. And I think this is the idea, that OEGlobal really expands to accommodate well, not only the ones that we call the already converted, no, into open education, but the ones who are out there that may be wondering, but what actually does it mean? Open education is such a big term. So I'd like to learn more. I'd like to understand whether my institution already does anything related to open education, whether I myself can play any role within my own daily practice as an educator in open education practices. So everyone is welcome. The ones who already know and have a lot to share, but also the ones who want to learn more from us and with one another, with our members, from our members, and from all activities that we put together. And that's our mission. So we are open to all. I think that's important to say. Our mission is also to be open to all, no? All that support open education. And also, Alan, you mentioned the SDGs, the sustainable development goals, no, by the UN, United Nations. UNESCO in particular is organizing or co-organizing a session with the Open Educational Resources Coalition, which is very important to us because they are going to be discussing the uptake of the Open Educational Resources recommendation by UNESCO. Can you tell us when that session is going to be this week? Is it on Thursday? I think yeah.
Yes, it is. It's on Thursday. I'm quickly looking to find the right time. Here it is. Well, in my time, that's the thing here. I will let me see if I can quickly. I will share my screen because that sometimes works. So here we are for
ages of you to do that live.
I like living on the edge, Andreia. So this is this is my time, which is 9:00 Central Time. I can I can't switch my time zone here, but you can find this event on the list of events under Thursday.
Yeah.
I've been recommending this daily schedule as the best way to navigate everything that's going on. So I can go to Thursday and find all the events going on. And I can see UNESCO. There's 2 UNESCO things. There's 3 UNESCO.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I'm not going to embarrass myself and try to do the time zone math in my head, but that's one of the things we really appreciate being able to have for this year's event. Is to have all the activities in your local time zone because that makes a big difference. Let's talk about Open Education Week. Like, you're doing like 19 events today, right? And so how are you like organizing what's on your agenda, and what are you participating in, and what are you doing, and are the things you get to go to as just a simple audience member?
Yeah, good question, Alan. Also, because I think we had, if I'm not mistaken, because the number changes quite rapidly, I think we had more than 340 submissions to Open Education Week this year, right? And that
Yes.
includes assets, so resources, open resources that people can access, but also face-to-face local events and online events, quite a number of events all over the world in different languages. And this is fantastic. So obviously, it's all free and open. It's both free and open, meaning it's all openly licensed. So we can go there and check and watch it in case we cannot go and watch live. So my personal schedule is very busy, but this is how I like it, really, because I was very fortunate today to have been invited by Eden in a session earlier. I think I mentioned just before, just when we started, there was a session entitled "What is the future of open education?" And then we had Mpenis from South Africa, James Glapper from the US, and we had a number of researchers and big names in Europe discussing in their views, where we stand at with open education, what's the future, and that was a fantastic session. I really recommend everyone to watch it later in case you've missed it. It is in English, of course. But then today, after this conversation with you, which I think it's very important because we are highlighting what we are doing, and we can tell everybody what else we have in mind for members, for non-members. We'll get there even more in a second, apart from the discounts. I'm also exploring a little bit of my language skills, let's say, because I said that I am Spanish Brazilian, but I've lived in the UK. So I speak Portuguese, and taking advantage of my Portuguese Brazilian network. We are running later today a session like that in which you will be helping us, Alan. Thank you so much for that. In Portuguese, discussing a little bit the state of the art of open education in Brazil and Portugal, in our perspectives, and telling a little bit about the sessions that are upcoming in Portuguese later this week. And for that, we have the collaboration of different institutions, including ABED, the Brazilian Association for Distance Education. And then later on today, something else that I'm doing that I think is very nice. I am excited about it because it's something that I've been trying to do for at least a couple of years now, but due to lack of time and other commitments, I didn't quite get to it, but I got it now, is to release a course myself on open educational resources and open education in general. This is a course in Portuguese that I've recorded in 2020 when we were in the pandemic period. I had also just given birth at the time. I had a little bit of more, I had more time. I had given birth. I had a little son, Tiago, but I also, because we were all in lockdown, let's say, I just thought it was an important time that I could use to record some sessions myself on open educational resources and open education in general in Portuguese, so that in order to raise awareness, of how open education practices could help towards shifting to the remote mode of teaching, and distance education, more collaborative and open in many ways. So I'm really releasing this course. It's 10 video classes, so it's all based on videos, 10 classes recorded in Portuguese. Today we're going to have the launch of the course, and the course is open. It's openly licensed with a CC by international license, but also the way I've set it up is that people can choose how to take it. They could just take it online on YouTube, just watch. It's over there in YouTube. They can download, they can look at it and just take it informally over there. Or if they wish to have a certificate of participation, then they can register and take the same course in a different platform in which we have an automated system to issue the participants with a certificate of participation towards the end, in case they wish to, because we know that some institutions really ask for continuous professional development, and that's an opportunity for that, right? So this is what we are launching later today. It's going to be at 10:30 my time, Central European time. And the course is going to be available the whole week, and after the Open Education Week, it's just going to be out there for anyone in Portuguese.
Wow, that's really exciting. So you find time to teach as well, and so we'll be interested to see how that plays out. Like for the community there, the Portuguese speaking community in both Brazil and Portugal, like can you characterize like what is the state of open education? And I know it's like nearly impossible to generalize at that, but I think really there's kind of different cultural and regional like influences that are different depending where you go in the world. So what are some of the key factors? Because in North America, there's a lot focused on cost. And in other parts of the world, it's really based upon, no, this is like, this is what we do for a social good. And so
Exactly.
what is the interest in the Portuguese speaking community?
Alan, I think you've touched in such an important question or matter, because open education as such an umbrella term and broad concept is realized in different ways in different parts of the world. You're absolutely right. Like there is a strong focus on zero cost textbooks, no, in North America, in the US in particular. In Brazil, it's interesting because the conversation nowadays goes around the convergence, or up to what extent there is a convergence between between distance education, online distance education, which is a field that has been there forever and is very big in Brazil. Brazil has always practiced distance education, but in different formats, with semi face-to-face courses, partly online. So this is something that has always happened in higher education in Brazil. But not so much in school level education. So the convergence between distance education practices and open education practices. So there is a huge debate between academics right now, what it actually means to be or become a more open institution in terms of providing open education, in terms of providing courses at a distance online, but also with this level of openness, working transversally in the institution. And so this is something that has been considered at many levels in Brazil, from academic discussions that I've seen happening in conferences in Brazil, just like the ESUD conference we had in November last year in Brazil, but also taking to other levels as to policymakers, because they make the policies that will enable distance education to take place, and also open and distance education to take place. So this conversation about distance education versus open distance education is something that is very prominent in Brazil right now. This is from one side. The other side is there is a strong perception of the increasing importance of paying attention to accessibility, right? So we quite often talk about access to resources. No, let's make it open. Let's put a license. Let's make it available so people can use, remix, etc. But part of open education is also about accessibility. How we make these resources more accessible, not only in terms of reducing financial barriers, but also in terms of making them accessible for people who have some sort of physical disability, for the ones that have problems with their vision, or cannot hear well, or are colorblind. So there is increased legislation in Brazil in terms of making educational materials that have some sort of sign language to be more inclusive, that have some sort of audio descriptions, because sometimes you have a video, but if you have an audio description, that will help people, a lot to understand what's going on in the videos. So everything that is related to accessibility is becoming more important in the Brazilian agenda. And even just as a matter of information, if you go to a conference nowadays in Brazil in the education field, the first thing you do is to describe yourself. Now, you are in a panel, so I would say, for example, I am a woman with short brown hair, brown eyes. I'm wearing glasses. I'm sitting behind me. There is a a library, I have some books. So you would describe a little bit your environment to help people follow what's going on. So accessibility is another keyword that is also part of open education that is going on in Brazil.
Oh, that's fascinating. So we have to learn more and see about that. What about I don't know, what does the rest of your week look like? What are you looking forward to the rest of the week for Open Education Week?
Okay, so I think I mentioned today you're going to have a live chat with Brazil and Portugal. I think I mentioned before about open education in Brazil and Portugal. Then tomorrow, Abed is putting together a conference, a session in Portuguese talking about the relationship between open education and democracy. And I look forward to watching that session as well. This is what's going on in Portuguese. Then in Spanish, on Thursday, I'm participating also in a session in which we'll be discussing the digital competence of academics in Spain, because we carried out a large research in Spain nationwide with 51 universities and more than 5,000 lecturers, university lecturers, through the use of a tool called the Checking Tool from the European Commission, based on two frameworks that we've developed in Europe, the DigiComp Edu framework and the Open Edu framework. So we took all the part about open education from the Open Edu framework and merged it into the DigiComp Edu framework and created the self-assessment tool. It's an online tool that you can go and self-assess your knowledge, so it's self-reflection, let's put it this way. And so we did that exercise with more than 5,000 academics in Spain. And it's interesting when we analyze the results, because we're talking about digital competence in general. So what's your ability to create and find content, to collaborate with others, to use technological tools. But when you ask them about open education, what does open education mean to you? How do you know you are an open educator? What are the practices around open education? That was the area in which the score was the lowest, right? So what does that tell us? It really tells us that we should perhaps be paying more attention on digital competences for open education practices as well. So how do we leverage digital competences in general, but digital competences for an educator to be able to practice open education in their day-to-day teaching life, let's say. So I think that's an important matter for us to discuss, and this is what we're going to present on Thursday from the Spanish side of things. But I myself, I'm very interested in joining other sessions, just sitting there, and watching and hearing and learning as much as I can from other parts of the world, so that I can have a better picture of what's going on. We have submissions from all over the world, and I still haven't made all my choices because we have so much going on. So depending on my time zone, I'll pick some choices for tomorrow and the rest of the week, and we'll watch some of them afterwards, because everything is going to be available online. I'm really looking forward to this week, Alan. I don't know how it is for you, because you're busy this week running this live show, but did you spot anything that you really want to see?
Oh, yes, indeed. I'm part of I think one of the encore talks on OER innovation tomorrow, at an invitation by Rob Farrow. I think we lost Andreia. I don't know what happened to her, but I'm talking, and I hope I didn't throw her out of the room here. But anyhow, yeah, I got quite a lot that I want to see on the schedule. So it's not just all about doing these live events. And so there's some great sessions coming up that I want to tap into, coming from all parts of the world. And I am not sure what happened to my colleague, but hopefully Andreia is okay. Maybe her internet went out, but this is what happens when we go live. I will just see, I'll keep an eye out for what happens here, but just to let you know what's going to go on. This will be an interesting exercise here as to how I handle this broadcast, because hello out there to the people watching. You're seeing what happens when we go live, and Andreia comes back. I hope I didn't throw you out of the room accidentally.
I
I
don't
thought
know what happened, but this is technology anyway. So I'm sorry, everyone. I suddenly had to log in again. Here we are.
that's okay. That's okay. I did it this morning. I just disappeared, and I was like, "Where did it go?" And no one cares. Like,
Yeah,
I I used to have this idea when I was teaching Andreia, like that it's okay to mess up in front of your students. Like we worry so much about everything going perfectly, and the technology is nearly always going to let you down. And so
yeah,
I think it helps for people to see you fumble and make mistakes because it's more a matter of not getting flustered and coming back to it. But um,
absolutely. That's it, Alan.
not here to talk about that, but that was to be honest, Andrea, like what I wanted to do is to me there's a lot of excitement in live conversations, and that's why I use this kind of metaphor of live radio because it's exciting, and there's still a place for live radio and audio communication.
Yes.
I think we should have like an OEG radio station,
Yes, I agree.
and we could have like programming and music and shows and kids singing and
And music, you love music.
yeah, I love music. So yeah,
Good
we'll do that in our spare time. So
Yeah, good, good.
like I don't know, crystal ball it, like a year from now, what would you like to be talking about in terms of Open Education Week and OEGlobal?
Oh, okay. I would really like to be able to tell more about our progress in terms of going even more global. Yeah, so about the plans to have nodes in different parts of the world, to share with more clarity what people are doing there, to really put the spotlight on their work, on their faces, who they are, what they are doing. And this is already happening, but I would really like to see OE Global more coordinated in that sense of having nodes in different regions so that people can participate in OE Global also regionally. Because, Alan, if you allow me, I want to take advantage of this conversation to tell everybody about our conference. No, we have a conference
Yeah,
coming up. Yeah, coming
absolutely.
in October. It's from the 16th to the 18th of October in Edmonton, Canada, and it's co-hosted by Northwest College and obviously OE Global. And we look forward to having everyone there. And this is the sort of thing that I'm saying. It would be nice if the regional nodes of OE Global could also have local events. So this is something that we are considering, and we are really open to have ideas from our members and from the larger community on how we could perhaps work collaboratively to make that happen in a much stronger way, right? But okay, so talking about the conference again, we have a beautiful theme for the conference this year, which is building a sustainable world through open education. So it's really about those important topics that we were mentioning before. It's all about climate change, decarbonization, a more digital and green society. So it's really linking open education with social challenges, and I think that's a very important thing for us to go beyond just talking about licenses. Oh, yeah, but to make this important link of what the potential of open education to really inform and educate people in general, citizens, no, about the social challenges that we are facing, to share the knowledge that we have to make a better society for everyone. So I'm really looking forward to it. We all are in our team. We invite everyone to participate. Submissions are open now. So if you want to go to Canada and join us, you are very, very, very much welcome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I can get there without going on an airplane. It's a 6 hour
Exactly.
drive. But no, and Edmonton is very beautiful, and we're really excited. Northwest College is such an innovative institution, and there's going to be a big emphasis that they're bringing on Indigenous ways of knowing, and so there's going to be a lot of interests that go beyond the typical OER resources. There's going to be
Yeah.
more on open pedagogy, and it will be a dynamic event for sure. There's still time later in the week. Maybe we can get some of the reps from the conference to come on one of the shows and talk more about it, because we definitely want to share that excitement that's going to be coming up in a couple months from now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's in October, and everyone is invited to participate. And then, if I also like to ask you something, Alan, because you've been very much involved not only during Open Education Week in running this OE Week live, etc., but you are also involved with OE Global Connect. And I'm not sure that everybody knows about OE Global Connect. So, if you could tell us more about how OEG Connect is supporting this Open Education Week, but also OE Global activities in general, that would be brilliant, please.
Sure. You mean I can talk about my work and
Yeah.
share my thing? Yeah. OE Global Connect is more or less a community space that we set up a couple of years ago. For just part of it was we have these major events during the year and the programs, and we wanted to create opportunities and spaces for people to have conversations and share in between in a community space. For now, it's a bit messy, and I'm responsible for that because I always get ideas and want to contribute pieces. But it's free for anybody to enter at connect.oeglobal.org. The front page always has the latest activity. So this means the conversations that have been going on. One of my favorite little features that we added is this little bubble here. I can see right now that Ebba is online and my friend Paul Hibbets, who is online somewhere in the space. So you get a sense of presence. But for Open Education Week, what we've done over the past year or two is to create some places to have different conversations. Know about OE Week is more or less some information that we share. So we have all the schedule on these live events that are going on. We wanted within Do is sort of a place to do activities. So we have very simple things. There's a place where people are doing introductions. So where this is Karen's message of response to my call for introductions. And so we just want people to come in and say, hello, my name is Andreia. I live in Seville and I'm very interested in digital competencies and I'm looking to connect more. But other people also occasionally come along and they create their own activities here. So last year we had kind of this effort that came out of a simple question in the beginning about just like, can we do something with OER for Ukrainian people and refugee learners in that situation? And so this came in kind of not from us, but from a member of our community. And we had a great dialogue and series of responses about that kind of activity. So do OE Week activities. And my favorite one, I have to admit, we have this thing called the digital postcard. This is something created by a brilliant artist in the UK named Brian Mathers. And it is a place where you can go, and I can even show you. This is called the Fabulous Remixer. And so this is OER in the settings. So I created a basic postcard, but you can change the graphic. So I can just put a different image in there on my postcard. And then I can say, like, where am I going to do this week? So I'm going to this great session on Andreia's Portuguese class that I can take. And you can customize who it gets sent to and where it's from. So it's a simple remix. But then you publish this and then you have the options to share it. So it's just a way that we encourage people to think about sharing the experience that they're doing in OE Week. And so we've done this over the past couple online conferences, and it's a fun thing to do. It's not necessarily open education in the purest sense. And then the last thing I will say, we ask people to share what they're doing in OE Week. So there's so many things going on. And so we're asking people to sort of say if they went to a session or if they saw something of interest. So Kim Carter, who's an educator at a new member at Conestoga College in Ontario, she's sharing in a later session this open access teaching case journal. So very interesting resource. And so a chance for people to sort of explore it and maybe come back here and ask Kim a question. So there's a lot of things in Connect. It's sort of where I spend a lot of my time trying to stir up activity and sometimes just asking people to share pictures. But we've had extensive discussions about artificial intelligence, and we've had stuff about the Fediverse and Mastodon. And so it's a
Yeah.
place for anybody to sort of open a conversation. And look at that.
Eba.
Eba is
Hello.
Emma is so amazing. I had such a good time doing our podcast conversation with her, and she's such a valuable contributor to this community. So
Yeah.
the thing about what we do is, it does get kind of messy sometimes. It's hard to find all the pieces, and but other people generally, it's not just us who do the curation and the sharing of things. Other people can come into the space and share themselves. And I mean, if anybody has an idea about something that they want to like have as a discussion or a topic, actually, they don't even ask permission. You create an account on OEG Connect. It's free. You can go on there. You can start a conversation. But if you want to do something, perhaps you want to organize a conference-related activity or something for a group or project, we're always open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, thanks for joining, Eba. You've always been such a great supporter of open education, and you've also been working alongside ICDE quite a lot. ICDE is let's say a partner institution. No, we always work together towards open, and so it's fantastic to see everyone collaborating in Open Education Week. Um, but I think I also take advantage of this conversation to tell people more about other activities that we do in Open Education Global, Alan, that I'm not sure that everyone knows about. No? So, for example, we have a project called OFAR, Open for Anti-Racism, which is a project in California, run mostly in California, and it's really about raising awareness, of the importance of being inclusive, or anti-racism values and practices in schools, in society. So we are engaged in many conversations in terms of openness in different ways all over the world. Yes, and that's part of our a long-term CCC OER project, as we've just put in the chat. We also have something called the Network of Open Orgs. It's a network of open organizations. EBA participates in that one as well, in which we get together all organizations that are not-for-profit, that have been working towards openness, such as Creative Commons, Spark, Europe, and so many other organizations. We get together and we share what we are doing with each other, our events. There are a number of events, but we also work on projects together, no? And last week, I think it was last week or 10 days ago, there was a conference in Norway in which the Network of Open Orgs had a session. We participated, we shared what we do as a common product of us getting together on a monthly basis to try and enrich and see how we can best act in relation to the field of open education. Because actually, open education is a field, it has to do with a community, it has to do with a mission of a personal mission, a mission of institutions, but it's a field that we can orchestrate ourselves somehow, no? Taking it to where we want it to be. So both as an open educator ourselves, we can really help shaping what open education means to us, to our students, to our schools and communities, but also in terms of organizations, institutions, higher education institutions, communities, other NGOs. We shape the field together. And I think this is the beauty of open education, and I think we're doing it very nicely when we bring into the conversation of openness social challenges, such as activities that are anti-racist, activities towards climate change. That is another portfolio of Creative Commons, and we as OEGlobal are supporting different conversations around the world in terms of how open education can help us face social challenges in general.
Yeah, the network of open orgs, I know they exist and there's meetings, but like I don't know where they are, so I couldn't find a link. And I think like, can we get them an OEG Connect so they can share some of this work that we're doing? Because I know that it's been something we've been involved with, but it's more of a a networking thing. And I have to say, like I'm part of a Creative Commons discussion group like every 3 months that Jen Wetzler organizes. She was on this morning's show. And I think initially it was a bunch of people from different organizations, like you described, who wanted to get together every now and then and share what they're doing with professional development and open education. But actually what it turns out to be is just a group of people who are in this community, and they like just to get together and kind of have informal conversations like we're doing here. And it's quite valuable. I think maybe perhaps we get so locked into our schedules and our projects that we don't always have the room to let some of these things that happen just out of the serendipity of getting together. And that was, some of my hope for running these unstructured conversations where sometimes people disappear. Like I disappeared in my own session the first time, and no one blinked, and people laugh. And so I think, and I can see you like to laugh too. So it's important to have this sense of kind of like you can have sense of joy among all the other things that we're trying to deal with.
Yes, that's it. So I think there's so much more, as you say, Alan, there is so much going on. And today there was this conversation in the previous session that I joined about, it seems that we are forever talking about what open education means. We have to keep on telling people, and raising awareness. But to be honest, I've been in the field for many years now, nearly 16 years. And I still feel there is a need for us to keep on pressing the button on awareness raising. We have to keep talking about the basics of open education to other areas in which open education plays a space, takes up a role, such as in artificial intelligence. You've just mentioned Mastodon, you've mentioned technology. So it's about technologies, it's about leadership, it's about quality, it's about so many different things. But awareness raising, in my opinion, is something that we must always consider and keep on adapting our discourse around open education to bring more into consideration of policymakers what it means, what open education can do for society. It's particularly nowadays. So we need to keep on using the words, the terminology, open education practices in our discourses, in our projects, when we talk to policymakers. Policymakers need to constantly be educated about open education as much as the citizens, and we ourselves, academics and already converted, need to keep up to date ourselves and really always try and focus open education, in my view, as a way to keep it relevant and always there in the top of the agenda for policymakers and for institutions and for everyone. So I think it's a beautiful work that we do in terms of OEGlobal, in terms of Open Education Week, and our extended community. Not only our members, because we have a beautiful community of member institutions and now individual members, but also what we call our larger community, which is about everyone that is somehow devoted and agrees with the cause of open education as much as we do. So I think that we are nearly coming to an end of our conversation. I would like to take advantage to say once more that we have a special offer during the Open Education Week 2023 as an introductory free membership for individual members. So if you're not a member yet, so please take advantage of this offer of Open Education Week to join and get to know better what we do, join our community, share your knowledge with us. If you are an institution or even a business, a corporate representative from any institution in North America or Europe, you can join with 20% discount. And if you're an institution, if you represent an institution from underrepresented members in our database from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, you can join during the Open Education Week with 50% discount. And we really would like to increase this membership, to increase the representativeness of people from all over the world in our membership database, because it only enriches OEGlobal to everyone, I think.
This has been so wonderful, Andreia. I think I might put you in the spot. Like, can we do this regularly? Can we have like coffee with Andreia and just create an opportunity for people, because like, people know you're busy and they may say like, oh, I don't know if I want to bother her.
Yeah,
But
or
I would imagine you really want to be able to get in touch with hear people individually and in groups. And so
yeah,
maybe we can come up with a format for more of these informal conversations.
let's do that, Alan. That's a good idea. Yes. Fantastic. And
Okay.
by the way, I did have coffee, so yes.
Yes, well, if I think we're like, because I drink coffee day and night because I just like
Yeah,
my
there you
coffee.
go.
So
Yeah,
uh
me too. And I
thank you.
can drink coffee and sleep straight away. It's not a problem whatsoever. So
No, I'm the same way. So thank you again. I'm going to play a little bit of outro music. Thanks for the people who are watching on live stream, and this will be recorded. You can find more of these. We have 2 or more of these a day for the rest of Open Education Week, and so we have a wide range of guests coming in. And I look forward to the next show and everything else that's going to happen, and then the chances in between these when I get to go out and, like you, sit in these sessions. So thank
thanks
you
to you,
again.
Alan. Thanks to you and to everyone who's joining us live and who will watch later. Thanks again.
All right,
Enjoy Open Education Week.
bye.